All right, here it is. The Stihl chainsaw sharpener, manual sharpener. This thing is the greatest thing ever. I've been cutting wood and whatnot for many years. And I've tried lots of things. I've tried the old school way. Hey, look at this one here. This is actually for a, well no, this is for a, this saw here. This is the saw, well, the MS362. But, you know, this is a homemade handle on this guy. This one's ancient, all rusty. It actually hasn't been used in a really long time, but, you know, these things, I'm horrible at them. Take that and throw that off the side. That ain't even worth using. I'm not smart enough to use that. Now this thing, I even had a professional tree guy one time go, no way, that thing is junk. You know, that, let me use that, he says. He grabbed a hold of it and used it, and he goes, actually no, his words were, that's just a homeowner thing. And I said, no, this thing is awesome. It's actually the greatest thing ever. And he grabbed a hold of it and used it, and he goes, oh wow. And he come back and he inspected his tooth, you know, and he's like, oh wow, that really is good. So I'm telling you, I love this thing. Here, let's put this thing to good use here. So sometimes these chains have a green link in them, right? Somewhere in them. Now most of your ones with the anti-kickback on them, they do have that on them. But if this one does not, so I just take a marker on the tooth I start on, a little marker here, just a little Milwaukee marker, oops, a little Milwaukee marker, and I'll just color the tooth. I already did it, but I just color that tooth there, done deal. So now I know where I started. All right, I think you guys can see that. So we're gonna take this arrow, we're gonna point it that way so that we're on our angle of our tooth there. And we're just gonna go ahead and I count. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. You want to look at that tooth and make sure that it's shiny all the way around the curve there. And then probably don't want to stick your finger on it, but that's habit. That's what I always do. So I just go like that just to make sure it's sharp. So as you're sharpening, you're going to want to, you're sliding this way and you're going to push back into the, that tooth just a little bit, not a lot. So what I do, 6 on that one. So I mark my tooth there and we're just going to go around. I'm going to go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Just like that. This chain here is getting, ain't bad, but 1, 3, 4, 5, 6. And you're going to want to make sure that when you're in there, that tooth lines up with that round file perfectly when you're done. It should line up perfect. So let's see how long it takes me to go around here. Now I'm just counting in my head as I go around. Took my eyes off for a second. There, we're all around. That's our marker. So yeah, it's really simple. Now you just take the chainsaw, flip the chainsaw around, And we're gonna do the same thing in the other direction. And then there we go. It'll be sharp. Does both at the same time, and you have a perfect, and it perfectly files them. So the point of it is since these teeth here are tipped back a little bit, they're just tipped back at the slightest, so as you file it down, it gets shorter. So this guy here, which is the raker, it's actually called something else, but some people call it whatever. But this thing here needs to get shorter too. Otherwise, if that stays tall, then the wood won't ever bite the chain. So the more you file this off, the more it'll bite. Okay, so that gets tricky. See, the old school way you used to do it is you'd file this, then take a flat file and file this down. Actually, back in the day, I used to take a grinder and I used to grind that down. So it'd be way off. I mean, sometimes it'd bite like crazy. It was so inconsistent, it wasn't even funny. Yeah, so there's my tooth. So now we're gonna take this guy. See how you set it on there and it's wrong? We're gonna flip it like this. And we're gonna go just like this. See how it lines up perfectly? See how I flipped that? See if you guys see it. And I don't lock the brake on it. I don't know. It just seems to hold. And you always want to do the same strokes on each side. When I flipped that chain around, or the chainsaw, you always want to do the same strokes on both sides. Otherwise you're going to get an uneven cut, and that's how your chainsaw is going to go like this. If you got uneven cuts from cutting straight, or uneven sharpened on each side of the chain, it's going to curve either way. So you want to have it perfectly consistent. I don't remember if I did this one. No, I did this one. And you can see I push harder when I'm in the other position. You see how much shorter this one is than this one? See that? So I do push harder on one way than the other. That's not good. You want to try to keep those perfectly consistent. Oops. Anyway, one more thing I want to say. So you always want to go one way on this thing. Two more things. You always want to try to take your full stroke, or at least most of it, and you always want to pick that file back up, and you're going to slide it back across it, just like that. And then, as you're doing it, you're going to want to keep this level. You're not going to want to dive this way or hold it like this. You want to keep this flat across there and go just like this. Flat and easy. And then push back on that. You know, push back on that tooth just a little bit so you can file it. So, and you can see all my metal filings. See all this? It all came off that chain just now. One more thing I keep forgetting. You can change out files on this thing. If it doesn't feel like it's biting, which you can chain, or you can sharpen a lot of chains, but this, so this thing's like this, you just pop this back open like this, like that, and then you can pull those right out. They come out. You can just go shake it out. See how that one comes right out? And then you can replace those files. Slide new files in it. Make sure it lines up on the other end. Like, you guys probably can't see that, but it goes in a round hole over there just like that. And then you just close that back up. I actually gotta shove that in there. There. Boom. Greatest thing in the world. I love this thing. Stihl sharpener. They're like $50 some. Something like that, I think. Yeah. Buy them on Amazon. Buy them somewhere. Greatest sharpener ever. That and a vise. You definitely need a vise. All right, guys. That concludes this. Like, subscribe, comment. Catch you on the next one.